In this video I'm going to be showing you how to add your own custom food items to your Salter NutriWay 1450 scale. First you want to start by turning it on. Up top you should be prompted to place an item on the scale and enter the food type. We're going to disregard that. We're actually going to come down here and push the menu button, and up top it should say to view, reset, total. Disregard that. Come down to these arrows right here, and we're going to push it once, twice, 3 times until it says up here to add new food item to memory. Once we have that, we're going to push enter, and it's going to ask you to type the food name, then press enter. I suggest, if you're going to be adding your own foods to the scale, to put everything under your initials. This way, when you search for foods, all the foods that you're going to be using throughout the diet or cutting portion of this program, when you type in your initials, all the foods will come up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in R S for my initials, Ryan Sullivan, and I'm going to come down here, and you want to separate it with this space button right here. Alright, so now I have my initials RS, and today I'm going to be adding in chicken. So for short, I'll put chicks. Alright, and push enter. Alright, but now, like I said, by adding that RS right here and that space, every time you go into the scale and you type in RS or AS, whatever your name and your initials are, and you push, when you add that in, you push down the down arrows, and all your foods will come up. So right now we're going to push enter, and it says now enter nutritional data per 100 grams. Basically, how this scale calculates everything, all these stats right here, it's based on 100 grams of the food, or whatever you're weighing. The problem is that most food labels are not based off 100 grams. So at first, when you add your own food, you're gonna have to go through a conversion. I'm gonna show you how to do that. It is an added step, but once it's all programmed into the scale, you won't have to worry about it again. So basically, I'm gonna pull out of here, all right, and I'm gonna show you how to make these conversions. The first label that I'm going to convert over is this grilled chicken breast. Basically, what you can see up top is the serving size is 112 grams. That's what we're looking at right here. And these are the numbers based on 112 grams. Like we said, the problem is our scale requires it to be based on 100 grams. So what we do is we come over here and we're going to write down, zoom out just a little bit, we're going to write down 112 grams of the chicken yields us, according to this label, yields us 24 grams of protein. Alright, now we have to set up a ratio because we got to solve for this. We want to know 100 grams of the chicken equals X. Alright, we want to cross multiply. So we're going to have 24 times 100 equals 112 X. Alright. We just multiply. We got 2400 equals 112X. Divide both sides by 112. And we get roughly 21.4 grams of protein. Alright, so that's going to be the protein number that we enter into the scale. Now, when you add the numbers into the scale, basically, it's up to you. You could do this same ratio with everything. I don't really count calories. I don't count fat because fat's going to be so low anyway. And if you need extra fat, we just add in fat. Carbs, there's none here. So basically, for this protein source, the only things I want to add into my scale are protein and sodium. So you'd set up the same ratio. So we have our protein level. You'd set up the same ratio to find out the sodium as well. We'll go over here, and based on what this says, we have 112 grams, gives us 260 milligrams of sodium. So this is a higher sodium chicken. I think this is the frozen ones. I wouldn't recommend using this for bodybuilding purposes. This is just a label I found. We're going to do 112 grams of the chicken, and that gives us, we'll just say for this example, 260 milligrams of sodium. We got to find it based on 100 grams of chicken, and we solve for X. So here we go. We're doing 100 times 260 equals 112 X, so 100 times 26000 equals 112 X, and now we're going to divide by 112, and we have 232 roughly milligrams of sodium. Alright, so we have our two numbers based on 100 grams for the scale. We have our 232 milligrams of sodium, and the other side we said we have 21.4 grams of protein. So we're going to go back over to the scale now and plug that information in. Alright, now we're back at the scale and we're ready to enter in our numbers based on 100 grams of substance. We're dealing with chicken again, and like I said, those ratios that I showed you, you can set a ratio up for each one of these stats right here, but I don't count calories ever. I count protein and carbs. So I'm going to press enter to skip. Well, protein, we said that from our calculations before, we had 21.4 grams. So we press enter. I'm not doing carbs, I'm not doing sugar, I'm not doing fat, saturated fat. I'm skipping all these. We're getting down to sodium. That's the other one that we felt was important, and we're going to add in our 232 milligrams of sodium. Enter, 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 enter again, and then up top press enter again to confirm changes, and there you go, item added. Okay, so now we will turn the scale off. Alright, turn it back on, and now when we come here, we're just going to go here to our pad, and we're going to type in our S. We're going to put our space, and now it will list all of those foods. The only food I put in is the chicken. We press enter, and we're ready to go. So now if I had a piece of chicken, alright, let's say, take this water bottle, say this is a piece of chicken, we put it on our scale, alright. Based on that, it'll tell us absolutely everything we need to know. Well, that's a lot of protein. We would want to have that one serving, but just for this example, that's 111 grams of protein, and our sodium's listed. Those are the only two things that I consider important, and it makes life a lot easier. So that's the first item we'll be adding. The next food item that I want to add is oatmeal to the scale. So I have this label here. This is a carb source. What we just dealt with was the chicken. With the chicken, it's a protein source. So we basically only wanted to worry about was the protein and the sodium. The fat, like I said, is supposed to be super low anyway on a competition style diet. There was no carbs, and even if there was 1 or 2 carbs, I really wouldn't bother putting those in the scale, because on your target numbers, you're taking out 10 grams of carbs anyway for a buffer, so that accounts for 1 or 2 carbs that would add up in your protein sources. So for protein sources, we focus on the protein content and sodium. For the carb sources, this is oatmeal right here. Again, we want to focus on the carbohydrates right here. All right, we want to focus on the carbs. Again, the fat, it's going to be super low anyway in a competition style diet. You can add it to the scale if you want.